Right.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you for coming back.
Yes, thank you. Do you want to start it?
Sure.
Okay.
So I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and release. One more time, take a deep breath in. And on the out back, releasing any tension from the body, becoming lighter. Allowing the universal wisdom to come in from our crown, flow through our body, connecting us to the universal love. Open ourselves up. Give and receive them.
Thank you. So I came in today. I've been feeling very challenged the last few days. Do you remember?
Look there.
Just feeling, I was looking at the Schumann resonance, and it has been peaking a lot. So the Schumann resonance is the electromagnetic field of the Earth, and it's used to show where there's a high probability or a lot of lightning strikes. So the lightning is showing where the electromagnetic is increased. So basically it takes the pulse of the earth, and recently it's been very spiked, like higher than a normal, and it's just showing a lot more energy. And some people claim it's energy given to the earth because she is alive, and that it helps her transition into a fifth dimension, a higher earth. So I don't know if that has anything to do with how I've been feeling this, like my interpretation of life, what I'm seeing, I'm reacting to more than I normally would. Not normally, but it just seems like I'm reacting more than I have been in the past.
I think it's given us a space to see all these limiting doubts and limitations that we've previously put on ourselves for us to work through and then rise with the earth when she gets to that 5D. Just allowing us to become that little bit lighter if we choose to work through them.
Yeah. So I actually had recently a deeper understanding of this whole transition. So 3D, obviously we get 3D, right? This time-space reality is 3D. Fourth dimension is the ability to go between fifth and third. So fourth dimension is catching yourself downloading or receiving information from a higher space, and you know that by how it feels and the information that you receive. Like it's not something that you would think. It's just something that's downloaded. And then also being able to come back, so you find yourself between kind of getting information, kind of what I've been experiencing this week, really downloading information that I wouldn't have thought of, that just come to me, and then back into the earth. So that's kind of the 4D, where you keep kind of jumping in between. And the fifth dimension is staying in that space of receiving. Fifth, if you were a fifth dimensional being, though, you wouldn't have a body. So the earth, like that fifth dimension, is just being able to receive clearer and know that you're, as a human, as a physical being, are staying on the fourth dimensional plane, but you're able to receive more from the fifth dimension. So I understood that more.
Yeah, I always not incorporate, what's the word I'm looking for, like partner it up with emotions that I'm feeling.
Yes.
So like I know if I'm in a 5D state, oh mate, and the highest the highs, you know,
Yes.
without dropping a Mandy or something, you know. Anyway, fucks. So, and I also know in the 4D, you're feeling it, but you're not trusting it, you know, whereas 5D, like, you are, you know, you're trusting.
You're in it.
Yeah. And I feel like it, to you're not a level of self-awareness, but where you're at with your self-awareness is like, because I feel when you're in 4D, you want to find out more, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
you're inquisitive and you want,
so joy looks different depending
Yes.
what step or stage or level or whatever that
agree.
you're on. So
for sure.
that's how it allows me to figure out where I'm at. Not that matters anyway, but
Well, you're on Earth.
God damn it.
No, it's perfect. So yeah, just some other awarenesses that have come to me is really paying attention to what I'm saying and what my definitions are about things. Because spell, SPLL, is our words. Our words are spells. And so they're actually, you're putting out there, especially if you're just talking, you'll catch yourself saying things that you believe, but you're not aware of. And then you can see, oh, that's why that's in my life, because I wasn't aware of the language I was using. I wasn't aware of the definition that I had for that. So being more aware of that too has been interesting.
Yeah, and I also find, I said this to you whenever we met last week, not taking things personally.
Yeah.
That has been, I find myself doing it and then I'm like, oh no, that feels disgusting. So completely changing that dialogue, because no one's out intentionally like hurting you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, what I've also been really aware of is my response to this. So this is the illusion. This is the projection from our minds that is our definitions, is our beliefs, is our thoughts, is our, so this is not real. When we react to that, we're reacting to something that's not real. And it feels real. I've been sitting with this a lot lately because of how much realness this feels, because we have these senses. So you're saying this isn't real. Yeah, I can touch it. I can taste it. I can feel it. I feel it internally if something happens. But this is the illusion, and the real. Like, I keep reminding myself, stop reacting to the illusion. Keep yourself knowing what you are, and you are spirit. You are a divine being in a human form, experiencing life through this unique perspective. And you're important because you're made. If you weren't important, you wouldn't be made. If God didn't want to experience life through you, you wouldn't exist. But you do. And you exist because you're important. And so it's reminding myself that home is unconditional love. Home is feeling at peace, satisfied, understanding. That's my base. And every time I drop to react to this, I'm coming back to 3D, and I'm forgetting who I really am, because I'm a divine being. Source is working through me for this experience. That's why everybody's perfect as they are. And everybody can choose whatever they choose, because that's what Source wants through you.
Feels like he's not trial and error, and that would make something wrong and bad, but he's like, ooh, who works and who doesn't, you know, when he's living through us like a little game.
But see, Source is good and bad. So it's again looking at your definitions on and your wording around, because Source is everything, the good and the bad, not just good. Source is all. That's why when you react to this, you're saying something's wrong. If you're Source, nothing can be wrong. Everything is perfect as it is. And the unfoldment is perfect. Like my difficult is because I chose to look at what I was reacting to as difficult. And I know this, and I'm in it, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm still doing it. And it's like, it is what it is. It's not wrong, it just is what it is.
I think our human brain tries to figure out why we're doing this,
Yes.
why we're feeling this way,
Yeah.
what led me to this, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Don't need to know.
No, we don't.
Surrender and just
If you need to know, you will know.
Yeah.
If it is something that you can gain from, you will understand it in a different way. I know before we started recording, I was telling you, yeah, I know I'm an alchemizer. I feel like I've lived 1,000 lives in this one lifetime, and I'm not even done yet. Like, I feel like I've just gone through a lot so that I had an opportunity to see life differently every single time, or to see it as everybody else. Shit happens and I had a shitty life. Like, I could totally look at it like that. But do I gain from that? No. And probably I'll attract more, because the negative, while valuable, only shows you that you have a belief that's stopping you from your joy. So, and I did use the word alchemize because I don't know, something resonated when I heard that word, like alchemizing the negative into the positive, to choose, because I understand now that I'm choosing how I see what's happening. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me to see it, for me to understand it, if that's what it's there for. Sometimes it's just there to show you that's just a pattern and a belief that you can let go of. You don't have to keep doing it.
And I think it also gives us a space to, like you were saying earlier, what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Because so often we can try to fix things with a person or something, and if they're not willing to receive or hold space, then the fuck you waste energy for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, if it's presenting itself in your life though, in that moment, it's there for a reason. It's there showing, it's either something you're thinking at that time, it's there showing you something. So when something comes up, it's that moment that it should be looked at, not, I'm gonna put that, do you know what I mean? Because it'll come up again, but, or not. Like, there's no right and wrong in this. It's all just how you choose.
And I think it's mad, like, because you know your senses that you have, like, I find touch so everything, you know, all the senses work so perfectly in our favor. And then the key for humans as well is to feel, you know, like to allow yourself to feel, unless it's just going to keep reappearing in different experiences with different characters. And you're like, why do I have to go through this again?
But the feeling is your guidance. You're feeling, because that's how you and your higher self are responding to each other. We don't pay attention to our feelings. Some people don't even feel anymore. I remember as a child, it was rough, and I learned not to feel. I cut that feeling off because it hurt too much to feel. So I stopped feeling, and then when I realized how important your feelings were, I had to relearn how to feel. I had to learn not just what bad feels like. That's what I knew. That was actually comfort. Bad felt comfortable. I had to learn what good felt like. And actually, good is your natural state. It's harder to stay in your unnatural state, which is the bad, than it is into the good. To feel good. It's easier to feel bad. It isn't easier. It's easier to feel your natural state, which is good, than it is to feel your unnatural state. So that's how hard I worked to feel bad, because that felt more natural to me in the beginning. And it took a lot to just process this. How do you feel good? What does that feel like?
And calm your nervous system too, because I found myself with sexual partners just constantly looking for. I was attracted to. I knew people who were going to hurt me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's what
And
you do
that's
because
'cause
that feels bad,
that's what
and
I
that's what
was.
you're comfortable with.
Yeah, that's what I was used to. So
Yeah.
my nervous system was like, oh, he's boring, even though he would be what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But my body's like, nah, he's too boring, you know, look for some chaos.
Yeah.
So it was really, I needed to find peace in that and acknowledge that.
Yes.
And then also show compassion to myself for
yes.
seeking something that I
Non-judgment.
thought was right.
Yeah. And that's just it. You just do what you do until you realize what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you say, I don't like that anymore.
Mhm.
I got tired of not being happy. I got tired of looking at life and not wanting to get out of bed. I got tired of it. And I said, there's got to be a different way. And I've always been a spiritually inclined person. I've always been drawn to kind of the metaphysic realm. And I've always been in tune with my intuition, even though when I was addicted, I'm going to say addicted, I'm going to use that word. When I was addicted to feeling bad, my intuition was there, but I had to consciously work to get myself into that space. It was work to get there because your intuition feels good. It's a light feeling. And I just remember, oh, can't do it today. Like, it's not happening today. That was, I'm too bad in the negative. But I didn't know that at the time, you know? Yeah. It's interesting when you look back on the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I seen this thing on social media and it was saying that your intuition feels uncomfortable.
It does and it doesn't. I think in the beginning, yeah. Because if you're used to feeling bad, your intuition is on that wavelength of love. It's more on that wavelength of flow. But when you start trusting in it more, when you start depending on it more, it feels natural. It's what it just feels like that's what I'm supposed to do. Yeah.
And I'm really paying attention to how my energy feels around certain people or places or anything like that. Whereas I used to always self-sabotage for others to feel happy, you know, people pleasing.
Yeah.
And lately I've just been, I'll try it out, and if it's not serving my energy, then just removing myself from it, because feeling drained is just not a nice feeling.
No,
you
but
know?
it is a choice. So when you realize that you can carry the energy, and sometimes you can't. So it's just knowing that too.
Yeah.
But it's you're choosing that energy. You're choosing how you interpret. You're the one putting the definition on things. So if you're in a low space, like I've been feeling challenged these last few days, I've not been in a low space, but I've allowed myself to dip. And that's okay. It's giving myself grace and knowing that I've chose that. So if I've interpreted something within the last 2 days as negative or draining my batteries or whatever, it's because that's the space I have been in. I've allowed myself that.
And like, you're around someone who not drains your energy, because it's not that person, because you're allowing it, but you're absorbing that and you're taking everything.
I don't have to though. And if I allowed myself to be in the lower vibration, I would be vibrating with that. Most of the time I'm not. Most of the time I'm flying high. I don't even see half the shit that happens around me because I'm not vibrating with it. I don't see it. In my world, everything's perfect. Not perfect, but I'm happy. But when I allow myself to dip, I will. It's just inevitable. Always something will happen, which will remind me, you've allowed yourself to dip. And that's okay. It's just, I allowed that. I allowed that to happen. And why that particular thing? So when you dip, what happens that you react to or respond to. If you choose to, you can look at that and say or see why that, if you choose to. So why that particular thing gave you that feeling, right? Or that whatever it is you've chose to, because there's always a gain in it. You don't have to look at it that way, but there is always a gain if you choose to see it.
And I think as well, sometimes I like feeling sad, you know?
Yeah.
And I
don't.
No,
Sorry.
I think it's because I seen crying as such a bad thing, like, and I always held back because I always felt like I needed to be like the parent when I was a child or all this.
There can be tears of joy though.
Yeah, of course. But so I think now when I'm actually crying, I love crying, like just releasing that and feeling that, and then because your body doesn't want to hold anymore, and that's when I feel like it releases it through the water. So I see I'm choosing to see it as a happy rather than sad, you know. So even though I'm feeling that low energy, I'm still like, oh, this is great, man, that I'm allowing myself to, because the younger version of me did see it as a bad thing. So that's what I mean. I like being sad. Don't take my words on it.
So every belief that you hold has a chemical component to it. That's why we're addicted to certain beliefs, because of the chemical component it gives us.
Makes sense.
And then when we're ready to release it, we cry because it comes out in an element, in a chemical way.
Wow.
Yeah. So crying is actually
It's
a good
interesting,
thing.
yeah. Because, like, for example, last night when we were gathered around the fire, like, we were invited to write a memory or what we loved that Ryan brought, and then send it off to the universe, you know. And I just started writing, I couldn't stop writing. Tears were absolutely pouring down my face, and it was just like, I am never going to see you in form again, like ever. Ever. And I was like, but that's all right when I can feel you in form. So yeah, it's just
you can feel him in form, but why aren't you going to see him in form when you cross over?
Yeah, but I'm not crossing over anytime soon, so I just wasn't thinking like that.
But ever is forever.
Yeah.
Because you will see him in form again.
Yeah.
But when you can connect better, more consciously and continuously, you won't miss his form.
Yeah.
Because in form we're more limited. He's so unlimited right now. In so many ways. Yeah.
You know what I love, right? So you know how you watch films and you
watch films, yeah.
And how your body, I don't know if I spoke about this before, but I'm going to say it again. So when I was younger, for example, I used Snow White was my favorite princess, right?
Yeah.
And I was rewatching it the other day, and I was like, how I actually sat through this, because the graphics are absolutely horrific. Like, it was 1939 or something.
Yeah.
But I felt so happy watching her. Like, I always.
Because of her connection to nature.
And it was.
Yeah, we talked about this on the last episode.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
That's okay, but that's you. That's your true self. Like, as a child, you connected to that easier. You knew that there was something in what she was doing that intrigued you and was right with you. And so you wanted to see it. Here's the thing, as a human being, I feel like we want to see what we know out here in order to make it real, or in order to make it not foo-foo or woo-woo or whatever. You want to see it out there, but sometimes you don't. But anyway, you were seeing it in her, even though it was a cartoon character, and it was probably the only place you ever saw it. Right. I know, it was probably the only place you ever saw it, so that's probably why you liked that. Yeah.
And the same with the Bob Marley movie as well. It was like, because I smoked herb and had dreadlocks, it was like, just you had to be my belief was you had to be reggae and Bob Marley, blah blah blah. But I just loved him. Like, I fell in love with Bob. Like, and then when the movie came out, it was what he stood for and his message, and you know, that culture, that community of peace, love, and unity, and that's all that
we are. That's all we are. So. Our definitions make us separate. But here's the other thing I was thinking is how programmed we are, right? So when we take a human form, we automatically go through our consciousness that is limitless, that is expanded, that is all-knowing, that is connected to source, that is part of source. Our consciousness has to forget itself, right? It has to forget itself. So when the consciousness comes into a human baby, into a human form, it goes through a forgetting period of a program. And the program is the beliefs of the planet, the beliefs of the community, not the beliefs, but the structure and the beliefs and the feeling and so that when the baby comes, it doesn't seem odd. Or sometimes those things do come out early, like the remembering of who they are. But most of the time, if the programming is done right, or thoroughly, I should say, not right, the child will come in not really understanding. I mean, coming in programmed with this is what Earth looks like. It already knows how to translate vibration into solid, because nothing is solid. That's an illusion of the mind. Our mind does that. Our mind also, because we jump parallel realities billions of times per second to make this look like we're moving, our mind also makes it look like we're moving. So our mind makes it look continuous. It makes it look flow, and it makes it look like it's time is lineage. So these are all constructs that our consciousness has to go through in order to take a human form. Once in the human form, as a baby, as a toddler, we're programmed. So our parents program us before school, and school is a huge program. They teach you how to think. They teach you what to think. They teach you how to be in this world. They teach you how to be social in this world. They teach you everything. So school is a program. It's a program to continue the forget who you are theme. So it's no fucking joke that we can't fucking remember. Like, no wonder why when we realize there's more to us, when little bits of us keep coming out, because it's time that it does, that it's work. It's being aware. It's looking at the beliefs and everything that you were taught, because that was your program. That was your programming. And our program tells us, it makes us little workers. Our program is to teach us how to be a good worker. Work hard, because in school, if you can regurgitate what's been taught to you, you are rewarded with an A or whatever your rewarding system is. You're taught, if you can be a good student, you're going to be a good employee, right? That's kind of the line of the programming, because they want us to be good employees. They don't want an employee that's rogue, that decides to do their own thing. And it's just, I've just been looking at the systems that we have in place and how much it's for programming and not to realize who you are. It's not set up for us to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, why do I think that way? What is that belief? Feels shitty in me. Where did that belief come from? Can I believe something different? Can I do something different? Something that feels better. We're actually taught that if it feels good, there's something wrong. That's not true. If it feels good, you're in alignment with your higher self. You're in alignment with source if it feels good. So it's just interesting to look at these programs, these beliefs that we carry. And if you choose to change, like I was so sick and tired of not being happy and realizing there's got to be a different way. And as soon as you ask, it's answered. And things start coming into your life to start showing you there is a different way. And this is it. And it may not be the end all be all. The first steps that you take aren't always going to be where you end up. But embracing change is also huge. Like part of our programming is to not change. Part of our programming is this is how it is, and that's how it always is. That's part of our programming, but that's not true either. None of it's true. Everything changes.
And change is so important, like just to remove that stagnant energy. Like,
Yeah.
Because
embrace change.
Yeah. It's actually mad because you study something in college and then you're to be that person for the rest of your life.
Yeah, they don't want you to change. And so they make you pay a price because we put so much value on money. They make you pay a price so that you'll make yourself do it, even if you don't feel like you want to be doing that because I paid that much. It's like, it's all part of the programming. But you are a limitless being that's here to experience this world through your senses for the joy, for the pleasure. And it's to understand and follow your bliss, follow the joy, follow the least resistant path. And knowing that source provides you as soon as you're born, everything you need is already provided. And always is provided until you're taught it's not. And then you start thinking, well, I have to go to work because that's how money is given. No, that's not how money is given. Money comes in so many different ways. And why money? Why not somebody gives it to you? You win it in a prize. It falls into your lap. Like there's so many ways things can come besides money.
Yeah, time is not time, but presence, like actual
gifts.
No, like
being in the
presence.
now.
Yeah. Because that's
that's
more
the present.
valuable than anything.
Yeah. and really that's where you start changing your perspective. When you can sit in your now and not have a thought, just observe and breathe. And don't think, just observe and be present. That's really where it all starts. And then when it comes time to think, you choose your thought. I choose to be happy. What's a happy thought?
Yeah. Like there's a lot of people like that now. Like there's maybe it's just because I'm in that space where it's been reflected through others. But like there's a big community and it's so beautiful to see. Like even this guy that I used to work with, he's now doing his own business venture, and it's just seeing growth and people allowing themselves and believing in themselves and trusting that that's where they're meant to be and follow that to remove from the system or the program or the program.
Believing and loving yourself. So that's another place that's a good start too, is because we're taught that you're not valuable. You're taught that you're not worthy. You're taught that you don't have any, maybe if you get a good degree, then you have something to give. We're taught these things. We're programmed to believe them, and they're just not true. Source created you to exist through you to experience this reality. That's why you exist. So source has a vessel, a vehicle to express and experience this reality with. And you allow that when you're in your joy space. You allow that when you feel good. And you still allow it, you're still allowing it when you don't, because you can't be cut off from source. The fact that you're alive is source pulsating through you. But you don't know it when you're in your negative space. You don't feel it when you're in your negative space. And you miss it when you're not in your positive space. You miss it when you're not vibrating. That's what we're all looking for when we look for that partner, that love partner. That's what you're actually looking for, is your connection to source, your connection to your true self, your love self.
On that topic, right? So I realized that, so I was gonna go meet up with somebody, right? Not physically attracted whatsoever. I was just seeing it as, look, it's experience, let's just have a little bit, right? Little bit of fun, little bit of chat. And then I was like, I see no harm in this version of me, seen no harm in it last week. Fuck it, we'll just go have a chat, whatever. And because in my brain I was like, looks don't matter, like, Jen, if you've got good energy,
yeah,
let's go.
Yeah.
And then I found over the course of the week, like, experiences were just unraveling, and I was just like, no, like, no, it was like a one thing after another where I just wasn't vibing with type thing.
And you didn't want to see them?
And
is that weird?
Yeah, well, you know, right. So then I was like, right, so I was explaining to this person, and this person was like, by you going is you settling. You're settling because this is not the person that you want. You're settling just for short-term dopamine or whatever. And then I sat with it and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I genuinely, I don't know how I feel. And then it clicked at me, and then I was like, why would are you actually going for a bit of fun, or why are you actually going? And then I sat and I was like, I'm actually going because I want to fill a void, because I'm feeling lonely. I want some human connection from a man. And when I sat back and I was like, oh, well, I actually am settling, because it's nothing that I'm seeking or that I want, that I look for, that I'm just doing what I have for right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, and when I was kind of like, okay. And then I was contradicting, and I was like, well, maybe something could happen. Like, why don't you give it a chance, or blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, Amy, shh, just calm down for a second. But I feel like I needed to have that conversation for me to have that realization of what the belief system was for meeting up with this person. You know? Yeah, so that unraveled.
Yeah, I always try to bring it back to how it feels, because that's this body's your guidance. It knows more than your mind. Yeah. And because it's connected to your higher self. So I would bring it back to, how does it feel if I went? How does it feel if I don't? And then that would tell me if I should go or not. Yeah. And then if I wanted to dive deeper, geez, why did I want to go? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's what unraveled. And then I was like, oh, God, so we're not settling then. That's good to know. Yeah. Oh, yes. So see how as a society we are programmed to, for example, you didn't want to keep talking because you had the fear of either what others were going to say, or if you were allowing me to speak or whatever, and how you were silencing yourself because of the judgment or whatever from other people. That was just an example, but we go through that every day because sometimes we feel like what we're about to say isn't valuable because it's going to hurt the other person, even though we're not intentionally out hurting. Because what we just did is we've chosen how that's gonna hit. We've chosen how that's gonna, yeah. And that's the wording too. That's what the spell is. You've decided what that's gonna, yeah. So like I had decided that you were gonna interpret it as me dominating the conversation.
Stop taking over. You're stealing my limelight. Yeah. No, but sometimes, like, even today, like, I'm in a very calm space. Like, I'm not really happy. I'm not really sad. I'm just like, yeah, I'm a listener today. And sometimes they don't shut me up. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, so that's where I'm at.
And that's okay.
Yeah. No, and this is a kind of, sometimes we expect that we're only successful or whatever if we're feeling extreme joy, because we have like a, how are you today? Yeah, I'm good. Or how are you today? I'm actually not doing so good, but there's no like, yeah, man, I'm calm. You know?
Yeah. I'm maintaining.
Yeah, and it's kind of, there's not enough. You'd never, I don't think when people actually, when we ask how you are, they're not like,
because I don't think
deep in it.
Because I don't think people genuinely want to know how you are.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just my belief, but sometimes, like, if you ask me how I was, I would tell you how I really was. So it depends on the person asking.
Yeah.
Because in Ireland, you're always asking, how are you?
Yeah. Well, how are you?
That's your hi.
Yeah.
Hi, instead of hi, you're like, how are you?
Yeah.
And so you don't really want to know.
Yeah. That's actually true, because the other day I met somebody in the post office and I was so angry at myself that I didn't keep the conversation going. But he was like, hey, how are you? And I was like, hi. And I was like, why did he just say, yeah, I'm good, how are you? Like, and then keep the conversation going. And then I was like, oh. And I got in my head, probably, he's probably thinking that I'm mad rude now or something. And I'm like, no, but we say, how are you as hello. Like,
yeah. So what is expected, just so that I know, when somebody says, how are you? What are you expected to reply with?
Hi, how are you? Well, how are you? Like, it's not.
And nobody really stops. You're just passing
you're
each
just
other.
going. Yeah.
So why would you ask a question when you're not going to listen?
Yeah.
For the answer.
Yeah. Or often people, I'll go, yeah, good, how are you? And then they go, good. But it's a distant good, you know, like they're halfway across the border from my thing.
So my thing is, when they say, how are you? I'm like, good. Like, that should be my response, good, instead of asking them how they're doing. Which feels rude, because I should be asking, but then they don't want to know.
They're gone. By the time
We've got 2 seconds here. Say it the way you want. So yeah, I find that interesting, but
I think we all of them, like in America, how do you say
hi? Bye.
Howdy. Is that America?
That's in sale. Howdy. How y'all doing? No, we don't say it. We used to say hi.
Hi. Boring.
Yeah. We don't ask a question. How are you?
Yeah, okay. Well,
because that just opens up the whole.
Yeah.
Do you really want to
Don't
know?
open that door. Yeah. No, but I often find myself, if somebody asks me how, yeah, I'm good. No, actually, I'm not good. And then that's it. And then they're probably like, oh my days.
Jeez, don't
like,
ask
I'll
her
never
that.
ask her again. Like, even my friend, bless her, like, she's in a heavy energy. And then, so I felt, when she asked me how I was, I didn't want to answer truthfully that I was feeling a lot of anger that day. But I didn't want to answer because I didn't want to take away from her sadness or anger, whatever she was feeling. And then she was just like, how are you? And I was like, I'm good, Kira, don't worry. And then she was like, fuck.
You beat it out.
Yeah, okay. And then I was like, no, actually, I'm feeling a lot of anger. Like, and she's like, why? And I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Honestly, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was just kind of. It was the fact that when somebody asks if you feel safe enough to answer truthfully, then fire ahead.
No, I honestly think that we are, if we okay. I do believe that if you are in a high space, that the lower energies aren't going to affect you. However, like we've mentioned earlier, you're normally oscillating between a high space, kind of a medium space, high space, sometimes low, you know. And so with the energies of the planet and what it's going through, it just feels like it's okay to have those days where it just doesn't feel quite right or joyful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm honestly learning to surrender that, because surrender to that, because if I was fixated, like I literally I came down and the top drawer of the dishwasher. Now I don't stack dishwashers properly at all. I don't care, to be quite honest with you. And I came down that morning and I seemed to care that morning that the dishwasher was not stacked correctly. And I had my coconut oil in my mouth, so I couldn't even bloody scream, like. So I just went, and I was like, alright, I feel alright now. But it was just that kind of, I needed to just let out. And why the dishwasher? I don't know. Like, you all have the dishwasher now, it's not bloody stacked right. But like, for that,
does it really matter?
Triggered. Yeah, no. And after me,
yeah, I would be reminding myself to stop responding to this.
Yeah,
it's not important. Unless it is.
Yeah, dishwasher is not important.
All right, can wrap up this episode. Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the beautiful spider plaid that came with us today. Thank you. You're beautiful.
Good from my nanny.
Yeah. All right.
Love
See
you
you next
guys.
time. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.